Welcome back to Edgework on the Hammer Betting Network, a daily live NHL show, Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on YouTube as Edgework. You can find us on Twitter at Edgework Show, and you can find all the picks that we give out on this show in real time after the fact. You can check how we've done throughout the season on the BetStamp app in the Find Bettors section as Edgework. There's a lot that's gone on over the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to start this one off and let So Money give us his thoughts. First and foremost, the team that's in his backyard. You can pick which controversy you'd like, So Money. Tell us what's going on with Vancouver and just your overall feeling of this organization right now.
It's a mess, and I'm very curious to see people outside of the Vancouver market kind of what they think of the Canucks, because the way I look at it is that if this team was operating in this way and and it was like another franchise, like let's say the Leafs or something, right? I would be just coming down so hard on the Leafs, like what are these guys doing? What a mess, what a joke, right? So I wonder how it is outside of the Vancouver market. Now, it is an absolute mess. I don't understand how sitting here when we have a coach, how I know who the next coach is going to be. The Canucks have a history of leaking this kind of stuff, right? It started with when Travis Green was gonna get fired. We all knew what was happening. We all knew it was Bruce Boudreau that was gonna get hired, right? But it wasn't to this extent where we're sitting here weeks on end with this poor man going to work every day, like this jolly old man, right? How can you see him like the way he was last year and then look at him now during his media scrums and his press briefings, and just he looks demoralized, he looks defeated. So like, just taking the hockey part of it out for a bit, and just from a humanitarian perspective, how can you do that to someone? Get in an interim coach, like, yeah, I mean, i I've got a lot of thoughts. It's just a mess right now, and at this point, TNT, if you're watching, just let Rick Tocchet get out of his contract. Just get this over with at this point, please.
Yeah, he did have statements in the media the other day too, where they were asking him about it, and he's like, "I'm just gonna come here and do my job until they tell me not to." And it's like, it's kind of what you're saying. It's like it's just morbid. You're watching this guy walk to the electric chair. Like
Yeah,
that's what's happening. Like there's
and
no suddenness to it at all. It's like, yeah, we know it's coming. We just don't know exactly when.
like,
Yeah,
honestly, it would be different if like it was a guy like, I think it would be a little different if it was a guy like Daryl Sutter, who we know can be a dick, and like he's like never happy and stuff, right? But like, Boudreaux's
mhm.
not like that. That's not his personality. He's always been like a happy, jolly person, right? And like, now, like, looking at him like doing his press conferences, it's sad to see, and it starts at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very very strange. I don't think I've seen anything like this in any other sports where it's like, yeah, the organization admits that the coach is getting fired, and has a whole press conference about how they're planning to retool the whole organization, and then they just keep sending them out there to get fried. So yeah, it's very interesting to watch, and I was curious to hear so many's thoughts on it
And
going
like
in.
speaking of the press conference, like what really triggered me on the press conference too is that you called that press conference to address Tanner Pearson's injury, right? And the way that it was handled after one of your core players comes out and says that that whole situation was mishandled,
Yeah.
and he goes from a 4 week injury to now he's probably out for the year and he needs surgery and stuff, right? So, okay, with all due respect to Tanner Pearson, I didn't need a press conference on his status. First of all, right? He's not Quinn Hughes. He's not Demko. Like that's the first thing. Second of all, in a press conference where it's you've been accused of mishandling a player's injury, where now he needs major surgery, what are what are the words that you use during that press conference to assess your team? Our team needs major surgery, right? Like, just the choice of words, like read the room, right?
Mhm.
This team is so tone deaf, right?
That's so bad.
Yeah, it was just the whole press conference was very, very strange.
Yeah.
Completely tone deaf.
Well, and
Yeah.
then now this is a situation where, I mean, and Mr. Slate in the chat here is saying dysfunctional is the operative word for the Canucks, and that may be an
Yeah,
understatement. And it's just like, it's to the point of this is now something we've seen over a long period of time, over numerous general managers who have been in there,
yeah,
and it's top down. And the one thing that was mind blowing to me was obviously the GM isn't involved in certain things on a day-to-day basis, but it took Quinn Hughes speaking out in the media about Tanner Pearson's
exactly.
injury for Jim Rutherford to finally realize that something was wrong with a player on his team. And
And
like when I heard that, I was like, how can that even happen
Yeah.
ever?
yeah, and I first of all, I don't buy it, right? Like you're sitting there in your position, so you guys sit there, meddle in all aspects of the organization except this one thing that has to do with injuries, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you are surprised that this comes up. So I don't buy it. I don't trust anything that's like coming out of this team, because frankly, we've seen this. Whoever the management is on the Canucks, they are a mouthpiece for the owner. There's a reason Trevor Linden, the most revered person in this city for the Canucks, he just took off and left. Right? He was here for a little bit. He's like screw this, I'm gone. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why? Right? You've seen Ryan Kessler, right? Like this is going back like what? Ryan Kessler was what now, 7 8 years ago. Things are getting stale here, right? Even John Tortorella, right? Like as much as I have issues with him, even even before he left, he was like he basically said that there's things going wrong here, right? What is the common denominator? It's the
Mhm.
owner. This is why, right? I always say fans should not buy their team. You meddle too much, right? You have too much of an emotional investment, and you can't make smart money decisions when you're too emotionally involved, right? So starts at the top. We have this owner, like just yeah, just get him out of here. The team's not going to do anything as long as he's the owner.
That's interesting.
And as Alex says in the chat, we have first coach fired tickets to cash. So
Okay, so
Which is already
now
probably.
yeah, so now I'm concerned about Dallas Eakins. I'm starting to possibly get concerned about Sutter, right? I think that who's the Ottawa coach? DJ Smith is okay for now. He's got he's got injuries and stuff. So yeah, like if someone gets fired in the next few days, right? This is gonna go down as possibly even worse than the game 7 losses.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree completely. I can't believe we haven't had someone fired yet this season. I think by this time last year, I think there was already 5 coaches fired. It's just surprising that there hasn't been anybody let go yet.
Yeah.
all right, let's I wanted to make sure somebody got the platform there to discuss what's going on with this Vancouver Canucks, but it is ultimately just a bit of a chaotic mess from top to bottom in all aspects of that organization at the moment. But let's get to some of the games today. We'll give our best bets. If you want to follow along with the picks, if you want to see them in real time, you want to see how they do later tonight, you can go to the BetStamp app. Find us in the Find Bettors section as Edgework. Doing really well on the year so far. Had another positive day yesterday, up 28 units on the year, a 204, 221, and 5 record. So it just goes to show you don't even have to have the above 500 win record if you're hitting on certain things, and 5.8% ROI. So doing pretty well so far this year. You can follow along on the BetStamp app. Let's start with the first game here. We'll get into Minnesota, Carolina. We've picked through some of the good ones. So if you guys have questions about games that are not covered, please make sure to ask in the chat where we will see it on YouTube. Unfortunately, won't see it on Twitter. So you have to head over to the YouTube to ask those. But Minnesota, Carolina here tonight. Minnesota right now is third in the Central. They are 5 points back of Dallas, but they are on a 3-game win streak, notably beating the Islanders, the Coyotes, and the Capitals during that period in time. They're only 1 point up right now on Edmonton and Calgary, but they do have 3 games in hand, and that whole Western Conference playoff situation is interesting to follow as you continue to have teams moving up and down, yo-yoing in and out of playoff spots over there. Carolina, on the other hand, pretty firmly in a playoff spot in the East right now. They're holding down first in the Metro. 1 point up on New Jersey, which, I mean, that situation on its own is kind of funny considering how New Jersey started, how far ahead they were. Carolina catches up, takes the lead back, and then New Jersey slowly crept back into this one and has made it a little bit closer on Carolina. But Russ, if you're looking at this game tonight between these two teams, you've got a team fighting to kind of stay above that wild card line, stay in position in a playoff spot over there against a Carolina team who's pretty comfortably in one in the East. They are at home tonight. What are you looking at in this game?
As you guys know, this Wild team has always just given me issues this entire year. But surprisingly, I do have a little bit of value showing on the Hurricanes here. It looks like Frederik Andersen was just confirmed in goal, and I was kind of deciding between the over. I have a little bit of an edge on the over as well, or Carolina in regulation. And Carolina's has dropped a few games recently, but their numbers under the hood are still really, really good. They're still second in expected goals for in the last 10 games and first in expected goals against. So yeah, I have Carolina closer to minus 200 here. So this will probably end up being a play for me, regardless of who the Wild start in net. I would like to see Marc-Andre Fleury because that would give me a little bit more of an edge than Gustafsson, who's been playing pretty well this year. Marc-Andre Fleury, as if you've watched this show, you know that I'm pretty low on him this year. So in a perfect world, we would lock in the Carolina Hurricanes about minus 115 regulation when we get Marc-Andre Fleury. And, that number might be a little bit better if we get Gustafsson confirmed in goal. But yeah, I'm looking to play the Hurricanes at home here. I just think this number is a little bit short. We've dug into the Wild a bunch of times on this show. They just don't generate any scoring chances. Their defense is really, really good. But I have I'm very, very good against a team like this who has a very good defense, a so-so goalie, and they're just going up a step up in class here. So yeah, this will be a play for me tonight. I'm pretty sure. I like that Anderson is back in net, and I like that you can get Carolina on the regulation at minus 115 or so.
Yeah, a couple of notes on this game from I won't have anything here. I'm pretty neutral. I did have Minnesota against Washington, and I was very fortunate to get that win. I don't think that they deserve that win. Carolina is rolling along. Pacioretty will be back tonight. He'll be back, and that line should get a little bit of a bump. And as Russ mentioned, especially if Fleury is in it. So I'm out unless if the Pacioretty bump is too much.
Yep, and I think that's what's doing it for my numbers, giving me the edge is the Pacioretty being back, kind of boosts my numbers on the Hurricanes up a little bit, so that makes that number a little bit short for me. So yeah, that makes sense.
All right, we'll look at another game here tonight, and this one between the Winnipeg Jets, Toronto Maple Leafs. On Tuesday's show, we talked a little bit about how the guys weren't really sold on Winnipeg as being a full-on contender this season, just based on some of the numbers and their consistency throughout the year, and then the fact that a lot of it is relying on Connor Hellebuyck to be this incredible goaltender night in, night out. They are first in the Central right now, tied with Dallas in points. They do have a game in hand on them. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They did just lose to the Habs 4-1 on Tuesday, the day that we talked about going against them and them not being the team that maybe everyone was looking up to or maybe living up to some of those expectations. On the flip side here, Toronto, second in the Atlantic. There are 2 points up on Tampa Bay, who's closing that gap in on them a little bit. And if you want something to laugh at, the Leafs, second in the Atlantic, are 13 points behind the Boston Bruins right now. Like, that is just absurd what the Bruins continue to do. The Leafs right now 5-4-1 in their last 10, just coming off of a big comeback win against the Florida Panthers on Tuesday night. Haven't been great lately, been in a bit of a lull, but they are favored minus 164 at home against the Winnipeg Jets. So money, is there anything you see in this one that you kind of lean towards? Over 6, sitting right now minus 117 on some of the sharper books, but is there anything side total that would draw you in?
Nothing stands out here. I'm neutral here as well. Toronto should be the heavy favorite. I'm not as low as others are on the Jets. I do understand the deficiencies in their metrics, but I think that they're a team that's kind of built for the playoffs. They do have depth now on forward. They're getting contribution from their defense, and of course, excuse me, and of course, Connor Hellebuck. So and and coaching matters. So I think that even though you're not going to see a lot of they're not a team that's built for regular season metrics. They're a team that's built more for the playoffs. So, in this game, I think that it's fair. Toronto should favored. One concern I do have for the Leafs is, if you look at Samsonov's overall numbers, they're strong, but he has started struggling the last little bit here. So I think that um, the goaltending, the perceived goaltending disadvantage is not enough to get me on the Jets, but that would be something to look at for the Leafs going forward.
Yep, I tend to agree here. I actually think I might have something on this game, but it looks like the over sixes are kind of getting taken up as kind of as we talk here. So that would be my lean. I'm not going to lock anything in yet. I just kind of want to watch it and see where this goes. I would imagine this will end on a soft 6.5. It looks like that's where some of the sharper books are headed. One thing that would concern me is Winnipeg's not very good on the road compared to their home splits. 27th in expected goals scored on the road. So that concerns me playing the over. I think that Toronto should take care of a lesser team here. I'm thinking like 4-2, a 4-1 win for Toronto. So if anything, I might think about the over here if it ticks back down, but this will probably end up being a pass for me. I think Toronto should take care of business.
All right, fair enough. That's what I like to hear. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we get to see that out of the Leafs team here tonight. Uh, we did touch a little bit on the fact that there is a team ahead of Toronto who is 13 points up, and obviously, Toronto is not the second in the NHL in points, but guess what? Boston is still 12 points up on the Carolina Hurricanes, who are the next closest team to them right now. This Boston team just continues to win in regulation, find ways to get points out of games, no matter what it is that's going on. Right now, like, they're on a 3-game win streak. They beat the Flyers, the Leafs, the Islanders in that period. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10, and it's like, I feel like if you look at their last 10 stretches at any point during this year, you're going to basically see chunks like that out of this Bruins team. They are facing a Rangers team right now who's third in the Metro, 6-2-2 in their last 10, and they are 4 points back of New Jersey. Right now, Boston is currently sitting. This is about a coin flip right now as they head into New York for this game tonight. Russ, is this probably about where it is? This is one of the shorter lines I've seen on Boston over the last little while.
Yeah, definitely. I was surprised when I checked this number and saw it last night. Saw it so low, to be honest with you. Then I ran my model, and with Boston on the back to back and a couple of rest issues, it actually does come out pretty even. If we get the expected Olmark and Igor Shesterkin matchup in the nets, then I do have a small edge on Boston. I'm not jumping to play it right away. There's a few things that are holding me back. I mean, we've talked about this on the show before. I think that the Rangers are sort of fraudulent. I think they have a really, really good goalie, but they don't drive play at all. They have a tough time scoring. But honestly, I think I think both of these teams will have a tough time scoring. The Boston Boston Bruins are not as good on the road. They're 25th in expected goals for on the road, but their defense is just as good as at home. And on the flip side of the puck, the Rangers just they like I said before, they just cannot score at all. 22nd in expected goals for in their last 10 games. So I have a little bit of a lean on the Bruins here on the road as such a short favorite or even money, but I'm not looking to play anything yet. The best I can say on this one is just kind of wait and see. I'll be monitoring this line all day. If it ends up getting to plus 100, plus 105 on the Bruins, then we'll probably definitely take that. I don't see how they could ever close as an underdog, just how they're playing. But yeah, like you said, this team is just unbelievable. We talked about fading them last week when they played the Kraken, and they actually did lose that game at home.
Yeah.
And then the same as last night, I would have leaned Islanders last night, and I was expecting that to be a closer game, and the Bruins just went in there and dominated them 4-1. So I don't know. This team is just awesome. I definitely would not play the Rangers here, but this will probably end up being a pass for me unless we can get a plus money on the Bruins.
Uh, um, so Swayman should start a net here,
Okay,
and he's whatever was ailing him has he's kind of figured it out. So I think that um it's not that big of a drop off anymore
sure.
with Swayman. Couple of lineup notes. Kreider should be back for the Rangers.
Okay,
I suspect he'll play. Willing to monitor Bergeron. Um, I think he'll play if he came back in the game last night when he kind of didn't have to, and I think if it's up to him, he'll play. Um, and the other note I have here is with Shesterkin.
right.
His overall numbers have been spectacular, like great, as they usually are. But I've noticed a dip in the last little bit here, so that's another thing that I want to keep an eye on. Um, the the schedule situation with the Rangers, with the Bruins being on the back to back, that's already been accounted for in the line, right? So
Sure.
that's one thing that we have to be careful of. It being lined as a coin flip right now is fair. If Bergeron is out, um, then the Rangers are going to take some money, and that's when we kind of had to see if it goes too far the other way. I know that Rob and Andy talked about this on Friday, where uh, teams either getting guys back or teams are missing players. They tend to perform the other way, based on kind of what you're thinking, and 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 that has to do with the market kind of overreacts to these situations now. A lot of people in the market, they're running models based on the same data, right? And so a lot of people are going to end up with the same conclusions. The problem is that at what point do you make the determination that this line has moved too far, right?
Mhm.
And this is the reason why even with Kale McCarr yesterday, right? When the player is out, the line just moves too much, right? And that's when there's value on the other side. So monitor Bergeron status. If it moves too much away from Boston, that I would be looking at this game.
So, question for you then, if you're comfortable sharing with it. In your opinion, Bergeron goes out, this line starts moving the other way, money's coming in on the Rangers. At what point for you personally do you determine that this line has moved too far and it is actionable now on the Bruins?
So it depends when kind of the market resistance happens, right? So like let's say so the Bruins are minus 105 right now, right?
Yeah.
And then Bergeron is out, and then the Rangers go up to, I don't know, minus 115, right? Um, that is probably not enough for my numbers to get there. Um, like if like the resistance occurs at minus 115, but if we're moving out of minus 115, minus 117, minus 118, I will sit there and I'll watch, right? And I'll watch where kind of the market says that that's enough. Now, if we see that at minus 120, getting the Bruins at plus money like that, that is when I'm okay to jump in. So it's not it's not a definite formula. It's about monitoring the market, how far it's going, when the resistance occurs, and honestly, a lot of these things, um, there's a lot of feel to it as well, right? Like I've been watching the markets long enough where I know that how much a player, where I have ranked similar to Bergeron, how far that should be moving, right? And that's going to come into play. So there's a lot of feel to it. There's a lot of market watching to it, and you just got to wait and see when the resistance occurs.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Personally, for my model is extremely players based. So I just ran the numbers quickly without Patrice Bergeron, and yeah, I would basically lose all of the value that I had on Boston. So it's a little bit, it's two different sides of the coin, right? So if I did have value on, I was showing value on the Rangers, and that moved a ton, then I'd be more apt to play it. But since I'm really showing value on the Bruins with Patrice Bergeron in, because I haven't updated my lineups yet this morning, just because we haven't, it's been too early. We haven't had any morning skates or anything. So when I do run my Bruins numbers with Patrice Bergeron out, I basically lose all of the value. So it'd be much more of a pass for me in that case. Whereas, like Chris Kreider on the other side is worth a lot less than Patrice Bergeron for me.
Right.
I think it's interesting.
Russ, question in the chat here for you. I don't know if you saw this or a notification. Russ, has anyone ever told you look like Jordan Spieth?
Yeah, I get that. I get Jordan Spieth. I've signed autographs as Peyton Manning before many times. Usually Jordan Spieth is number 2, but yeah, Peyton Manning is always the top, and then Jordan Spieth is the second one that I get.
All
right, I can see the Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, I'll take it. That's not a bad thing at all. I love me some Spieth.
Hey Russ, can you just yell Omaha one time?
That's what I do. Yeah, at the park, Yeah, when the Peyton Manning is playing, even the Super Bowl, I just go around yelling Omaha, and people are taking pictures with me. It's crazy. It helped that I had a Peyton Manning jersey on that day.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Steve and Peyton Manning are the top 2 for sure.
Fair enough. All right, another game here tonight. We got a couple more that we can go through. If there's any other plays, I don't know if anyone has any questions in the chat, please make sure to let us know so we can try to get to those. But let's look into the Tampa Bay Edmonton game here right now. Edmonton is on a 4-game win streak. I've had my doubts about the Oilers, but they're getting Evander Kane back here. It looks like they're starting to move some things around in terms of there's going to be guys who are going to have to go on waivers. They're going to make some trades. They're looking into the trade market at this point in time to heavily upgrade their defense. Like there's going to be some adjustments here in Edmonton as we come down the stretch, and they are starting to play a lot better. Now, I always look at it and with a little bit of a grain of salt, and just remember that you do have the 2 best players in the world who can carry you for periods of time where they can go and kind of mask up some of the issues, but it'll be a good test for them here tonight as they do face the Tampa Bay Lightning, but Tampa is coming off a back-to-back. They beat Vancouver 5-2 last night in Vancouver. They are 2 points back of Toronto as discussed, but Tampa Bay is also an incredible team right now, 8-2 in their last 10. They are on a 5-game win streak. I'm looking at this line right now. Tampa Bay is the underdog, which I feel like would kind of make sense, especially coming off of that back-to-back traveling from Vancouver to Edmonton here. But Russ, in this one here tonight, is there anything you feel like you might be able to find any type of edge on, whether it be a side, total, regulation, player prop, anything like that in this one?
Yeah, I ran my numbers on this one this morning, and it did. We found out that Edmonton seems a little bit short to me here, and it looks like, interestingly enough, it looks like the Lightning are taking a little bit of money from this morning, which is fine with me. I would say just wait a little bit, or that -108, -110 looks fine for me. But yeah, like you said, this Edmonton team is just playing a lot better recently. I think getting some guys back in the lineup, getting back healthy, has really changed the squad around, changed how their outlook looks going into this important stretch before the break. Basically, getting Evander Kane back boosts my projections for the Oilers significantly. But yeah, the last 10 games they've got 30 goals for. They've allowed 16 goals is all. They're 5th in expected goals for in that stretch. And then one of the notes I have on the Lightning is obviously they've been playing amazing, doing what they normally do. But when they do lose, it's generally on the road. They're a lot better team at home, and on the road they kind of struggle a little bit. And I think this is a long travel spot for them. They're coming back. They're coming off of the game last night in what was more of an exhibition game against the Canucks, honestly. But they don't have too far. They don't have too far to go to go to Edmonton. But still, you're still on the road. You're still sleeping in hotels, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to take the Oilers here. -110 seems just fine for me. I think that this should be a fantastic game, back and forth. But yeah, I think this is a little bit short, and yeah, my numbers like the Oilers. Now, I was curious if we're probably going to see Campbell in goal here. Do you think so many?
No,
Skinner.
I think we'll see Skinner.
Okay,
Um, concern is that he hasn't played for a while. I don't
sure.
usually like playing goalies that time off like that. But I did play the Oilers. Um,
Yeah,
we um, we we did play them earlier. I think that Zach, you just locked in a -110, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I'm fine with the Oilers there. Um, a couple of things here. Vasilevsky will start, and of course, I always hesitate to bet against him. He's
hmm
even his numbers the last few games they've slowly started getting better now. I think that Tampa Bay as a whole are slowly starting to turn it around as they're getting healthier. The game last night, as much as I like to kind of come down hard on the Canucks management, the players they're still playing hard for the coach, and we saw in that game yesterday that Tampa Bay got off to a 4-0 lead and they kind of sat back, so that skews the numbers a little bit. But overall, I thought that um, Tampa Bay struggled a bit in the start of that game, even though the score didn't indicate that. I think that if the Canucks got even ECHL level goaltending to start that game, I think that that could have been more competitive. But I am seeing a little bit of a dip in Tampa Bay's play. They did beat a Seattle team that was on a horrible scheduling spot. Um, and frankly, Seattle mentioned it themselves that they've been playing tired. So um, I think that those factors, and the Oilers right now they are playing well, and like how we've mentioned on this show, they're starting to get secondary scoring. And with Kane back, RNH is producing. Clean Costin is there now, and he's starting to produce. So this team is getting secondary scoring, which is what they need to have success long term. So I do like the Oilers. I played them, and I see that they're up now. But yeah, I think if you can get the -10, I think that's good.
Okay, yeah, we did lock that in -10 on the BetStamp app as for the Edgework show, and then there is a question here in the chat from Mr. Slate. Thoughts on Dallas, LA? So we will get to that game here. This
yeah.
Dallas team sewered me last night. I was on Dallas, and they go up
Oh,
3-0. I feel like this one it's not necessarily like in the bag, but I was feeling pretty comfortable with it as they're going up against the San Jose Sharks, and ultimately end up blowing that one and lose 5-3. So that was a bit of a heartbreaker. But
Yeah.
Dallas team is slowly being dropping off as they're getting caught in the standings over there in the West in that Central Division as Winnipeg has caught right up to them. But Dallas right now 5-4-1 in their last 10. They did blow that 3-0 lead last night, and they're facing an LA team who's third in the Pacific. They're pretty good, but outside of Phoenix Copley, their goaltending hasn't been strong. Hence the fact that they have a -1 goal differential so far in the season, despite sitting in a playoff spot. Leave it up to you guys. So money, Russ. Any thoughts on this Dallas LA game as it stands right now?
yeah. So clearly, LA has a scheduling advantage. They have not only do they have extra rest here, they also catch Dallas on a back to back with Wedgwood starting. That being said, you look at the number right now on the Kings. It's been more than accounted for at this point, right? Like I would have wanted around 120,
hmm
probably a little below 120 on the Kings. Um, at this point, I think that that it's way far gone. And in fact, if it goes up too much, I'd be more inclined on the Stars right now. The Kings are untouchable right now if Quick is in net. I do suspect they'll go with Copley, but if they do decide to go with Quick, then I think that number's way off. And even with Wedgwood, I would go the Stars. But at this point, I got nothing here.
Yeah, when I opened it up this morning and I was looking at minus 125, minus 130, I thought I would have a play on the Kings here just because of mainly because of the rest and mainly because I hate Scott Wedgwood. Um, but other than that, no, I've got close to minus 140 ish here, and I'm seeing FanDuel all the way up to minus 146, DraftKings all the way up to minus 135. So clearly, some people saw exactly what we were just talking about and hit the Kings, early this morning. At the current numbers here, yeah, that minus 146 at FanDuel is crazy. I'm not sure how that got out that far. But yeah, I just basically all of the value is gone for me on the Kings here. I think this should be a great game against two of the teams I have, bottom, well, in the right around the top 10. I've got the Kings at 15th in power ranking, and I've got the Stars right around 11th. So these two teams are fairly similar to me, and I think this will just be a good game to watch. Gun to my head, I would definitely take the Kings, or if the line moved back down to minus 120, I would take the Kings. But other than that, there will be no play for me. I think, this would be the fun one to have on the side TV and to just kind of see what happens.
All right. Are there any other games you guys are looking at for best bets tonight?
I'm on Nashville. Zach, what's the best number we can do on Nashville right now?
1 sec. There we go. Best number minus 111 on Nashville here tonight.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So things St. Louis, they're not only are they missing a couple of guys on top six guys here on offense, they're also just not a very good team. They're getting results, but like they're just not good. They don't drive play. They need spectacular goaltending on any night to kind of keep them in it. I suspect Bennington is going to get the start, and he's just not been good this year either. Whereas Nashville, I'm not high on Nashville, but there is a enormous goaltending disparity here, and at minus 111 that we're locking in, even on the road, I think that that it's a significant advantage here for Nashville.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would lean the same way. As of right now, I don't have anything. Now that could change once I update some of the line combos, like so many said, if they're missing a couple of guys. But yeah, that is the way I would lean. This St. Louis team is just complete mess, and Nashville's been playing better since the new year. They've been playing a lot better. So yeah, that is the way I would lean. But I won't have anything yet on that.
All right. Any other ones that are so money, Russ?
Not necessarily. I lean towards the Devils on the road against this tired, a little bit overrated Kraken team. The Devils are just so good on the road, 18-2-1. But I've got nothing there yet. I think that if we get Vanacek against Martin Jones, that could end up being a play for me. But it already looks like it should be a pretty big volume play for me today. So no, let's just stick with the ones we've got for now.
All right.
I'm good. I do have one request before we go though.
Okay.
Russ, can I just get an Omaha?
Omaha.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to everyone who tuned in here today. Saw Peyton Manning / Jordan Spieth in the on a stream for the first time today. But if you missed the stream, if you missed the video, you can always watch it back on the Edgework YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe there. Turn on notifications by clicking the bell so you get notified every time that we go live. We will be having some more NHL content coming up on this channel in the near future, so stay tuned for that. And you can get notified when that starts to happen by making sure you follow us on Twitter at Edgework Show or turn on notifications on that YouTube channel. As always, if you want to track the picks that we give out on this show, you can find us on the BetStamp app in the Find Bettors section as Edgework. And final thing, if you're looking for this in podcast form after, you can find it on all podcasting platforms as Edgework there. So money. Russ, thank you guys for your time today. Appreciate the insights. Look forward to talking to you guys next Thursday. Good luck on your bets tonight.
Thank you.